You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you may not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
What is going on? You are watching and, of course, listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition, where we're here every Wednesday night on the Crowdcast platform. I am your host, Steve V. This is episode 780, alongside partner in crime, Cody Maurice Doggett. How the hell you doing, Cody?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful this evening. How are you? I'm back, baby. Last week I was off.
Back. It was your birthday, as you should have been celebrating. We met you a little bit later.
It's a week. It's been like a month since it was my birthday last week. So, wow.
Oh, your birthday comes and then it goes right into Leo season. But so much fun celebrating with you. But we are in front of a live virtual audience. Hello, hello, hello. And let's just bring up our very special guest, Amari Ice, to the platform. Hello, Amari. Good to see you and your face.
Hello.
Let's introduce you. Amari Ice is on a mission to empower gay men to have the lasting love they desire and deserve, utilizing his expertise in personality, psychology, communication, and interpersonal relationships. He helps individuals, couples, and groups get emotionally intelligent results in love and in life. And Amari's coaching and matchmaking, which I can't wait to get into, philosophy is founded on his 12-step relationship process, which he outlines in his international Amazon bestseller, Lasting Love at Last, the gay guide to catching and keeping the man of your dreams. Can't wait to get this book because it sounds so good. We have so much to talk to you, Amari, on this episode. Welcome to Tags Live.
Thanks for having me. Pleasure to be here.
We were talking about compatibility factors, and you have a thing called match. And we don't need to go through every single one of them, but it's mythos. A is for attachment style, T is for temperament, C is for capacity, and H is for hazard-free. Briefly, can you go through those really quickly on, these are the key things that are really what you're looking for when you're looking for your match, yes? Yeah. And could you explain them briefly?
Yeah. So mythos is going to be your romantic mindset. So this is all the things you believe about relationships, and your beliefs are going to dictate your behavior. So if you don't believe that you're good enough, then we tend to accept things from people because our boundaries aren't necessarily that great. If we believe, for example, the dating pool doesn't have a lot of quality people, then we won't do as much work to find quality people. We'll also treat people who haven't shown us any issues as if they are somehow not quality, right? So we kind of approach dating based on what we believe about the relationship process. And then once we get into a relationship with someone, what we believe and expect about those relationships also dictate how we interact with our partners. And so if we identify both what we believe and how we see relationships going, if another person's presence in that story that we've created for ourselves, if it doesn't make sense in the story, they likely aren't a good fit for us, or our expectations might be a little unrealistic. So we had to come to terms with that and do a little digging to make sure that, one, the expectations are realistic so that we aren't creating impossible situations that relationships just will never measure up to. So that's N. A is attachment style. Oh, and feel free to jump in with questions.
Yeah. Well, we'll let people, because I think what I love about it is I did one of your tests. I'll talk about it in a minute. Cody did your dating, and one of your main comments that you dispel to your listeners and everybody is the number one reason anyone is single is because they're trying to have a level 25 relationship with level 3 dating skills. And that really resonated with me because I think if you're not ready and it's almost like you need to look in the mirror, but is this why gay men are not finding relationships and compatibility because their expectations are so high, but they're not looking in the mirror?
This is the number one reason. It's not the only reason, but it's definitely
Sure.
the top reason. So if you use that analogy of the dating pool, right? There are 3 questions we have to ask ourselves if we want to successfully find someone to swim with. The first question is, am I ready for the pool? Right? And so this connects back to what we were just saying. Are my expectations realistic? Am I emotionally available? Do I trust myself in the water? Right? And then do I have time to actually swim? Do I have time to date? Do I have time to nurture?
Maybe you have time for a cold plunge, but you don't have time for the full,
Exactly. A little toe dip, show a little wrist, a little ankle. So that's the first question. Are we ready to go to the pool? The second question is, do you know how to get to a quality pool? And so when we talk about the fact that there's pee in the dating pool, like everybody knows that saying, but what you might not know is the pee is concentrated in the kiddie pool. And that people who can swim are not complaining about pee in the dating pool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. So we got to know how to locate
kiddie
a pool. Yeah. We got to locate a pool that we can actually swim in that has the level of depth that we're looking for, and people within that pool who also want the types of relationships we're interested in. In other words, hookup apps. The point is to hook up, not to find love. Doesn't mean you can't find somebody who wants to be in a relationship on a hookup app, but that's not where people who want a relationship are going en masse. So the odds aren't in your favor in that particular pool. Go to a different pool where people are interested in love and relationships. So that's question number 2.
So I think that you're not saying that there's no pee in the grown-up pool, because there's probably still pee in the grown-up pool.
So here's the thing, though. It still will concentrate in the shallow end of the pool, which is the complaint area, right? But if you can't swim in the deeper parts of the pool, if we look at depth of the pool as like the stages of a relationship.
Gradations, yes.
Yeah, that shallow end is just meeting people, the talking stages, the app conversations, very shallow. But in order for us to progress, we have to have the skills to swim into those sections and to be able to find someone else who can swim too. Because sometimes we're trying to swim with people who don't know how to swim. And that is another indication of our own skill level. Like, skill also means you can tell when someone else can swim too or not. So both of those things are really important. And then the third question is, can you actually swim? Like, this is back to the whole number one reason anybody is single is level 25 expectations or level 3 dating skills. If you can't swim in the water, it doesn't matter how many quality people you meet. It doesn't matter how ready for a relationship they are. It doesn't matter if they have exactly what you want on that list, from physical qualities to internal qualities. If you don't have the skills to navigate relationships, it's not going to work. And this is also why I say most people think they need a matchmaker, but really need dating coaching. And so I happen to be both the first Black gay certified matchmaker in the world and the first Black gay certified science-based dating coach. So I can do either, but it's very clear that most people don't need matchmaking, because if I introduce you to someone who's a good fit for you, but you don't have those skills, guess what that other person is going to say? This isn't a good fit for me because they don't know how to handle relationships. Because with matchmaking, the point is just to introduce you to people who are good or match your list, but matchmakers generally are not qualified to help you stop doing the things you do to sabotage yourself. They're not qualified to help you develop dating skills usually. So you're wasting money to meet people when you can meet them on a dating app for free if you don't have the skills to actually navigate a relationship.
But then the larger issue is you need to do the work to be able to be ready on a larger scheme.
Take some swimming lessons.
Yeah, but I took the dating skills quiz that you have, and I got phase 3 on all the pillars. So I don't know, I might be ready, but like you said, you have to date effectively. What does that necessarily mean to you to date effectively?
Yeah. So if we think of dating as 4 stages, all right. Stage 1 is romantic advertising. In order for anybody to date you, they have to first know that you exist, right? And when we think of like dating apps, all apps are marketing tools. So the better your marketing skills, the better you're able to meet someone through a dating app. If you don't have great marketing skills, dating apps are probably frustrating you because you're like, how do I get the matches? I'm not getting good matches, or I'm getting matches, but they're not going the distance, right? Like that's all in the romantic advertising phase, which is the first phase. Phase two, check. Phase two is the interest nurturing phase. So once I've matched with people from phase one, so the goal of phase one is to get interested admirers. And on a dating app, that's once people are actually swiping on us. If they swipe, they're interested. Once we match with them, we're now in that interest nurturing phase. And so this is also known as the talking phase. And a lot of people use talking, but they mean light dating. And so talking actually came from, remember when we had like chat lines back in the day, the phone
Oh,
chat,
yeah.
and you
976.
your whole relationship at first was over the phone until you met in person. The talking stage is everything you do until you meet in person. If you met in person and whether you've hung out, gone on official dates to restaurants or whatever, when you meet in person, you're no longer talking. We call that phase three, active dating. So you're only talking until you meet them, right? So if you are getting matches, but you're not getting dates, that means you're struggling in the interest nurturing phase, okay? Phase three is active dating, and this is where we keep going on dates until we get into a committed relationship. And so if you go on lots of dates, but they never go anywhere, or maybe you are getting a trickle of date here and there, right? Like this is where we got to improve those skills. And then phase four is relationship maintenance. So you've gotten into a relationship and now the goal is to keep it going. So when we talk about dating effectively, we're talking about going from that interest nurturing phase, the shallow end of the pool, all the way to the deep end of the pool with a particular person. And so all dating skills are relationship skills. And what we're really saying is if you aren't able to navigate the dating process, find a compatible partner, enter into a committed relationship, and keep it going, those four things are the things we really need to work on if we aren't having the romantic results that we want.
Nice.
One of the things I love about your work is you do a lot of workshops to get people working on these things and thinking about these things, about what they really want. And you talk a lot about emotional availability and how we talk about, oh, they're not emotionally available, but we need to look at ourselves in the mirror and maybe we're not the ones that are emotionally available. And I love that. Do you think that because so many of us go into looking for that right person, but do we, as gay men, and I know you work with hypnotherapy, do we really need to look at ourselves a little bit deeper before we go into some of these, before we even think about getting into a relationship, or can we be a work in progress?
Oh, absolutely. So you don't need to be perfect, but you for sure need to be in progress. And I think one of the biggest challenges with many people in the dating pool is they have this binary thinking, I'm either perfect or I'm not good enough. And there is no gray area or gradient in the middle. And when we think about relationships, no relationship is perfect, but we also confuse perfection with excellence. So there's excellent relationships, there's excellent partners, there are qualities that can make you an excellent dater, but we're not often striving for that either. We don't know what good enough looks like. And from that perspective of perfection, we know that because there are no perfect people, that maybe sometimes we have to deal with things that aren't necessarily perfect, but because we confuse the difference between perfect and good enough, we still end up settling for someone who's actually not good enough for us because we don't know that difference between perfection and excellence.
Okay. Well, I feel like a lot of this is wrapped up in a lot of things that happened before you. How do you feel past trauma and your like things that you went through with your ex, how does that affect your dating in the future, like looking forward and going into new relationships?
Yeah, so I think it's helpful first to define what trauma is for people in this context, because we hear trauma and we immediately think, oh, you went through some horrible stuff and now
we go to rape and all this stuff, and but trauma could be
trauma doesn't always have to be those really intense major things that turned us into a different person, right? Trauma can be anything that caused us to compartmentalize our emotions, because let's be very clear, what makes something traumatic is I'm too scared to feel the feelings that I was experiencing in the moment, and so I cut them off. But we can't actually cut off our emotions. They keep coming up and I keep trying not to deal with them. And me pushing it down is causing me to not be present in the current moment because I'm still dealing with or trying not to deal with emotions from the past moment. So anytime we compartmentalize our emotions, that is effectively trauma for a system that automatically regulates itself, right? And so if we cut off our body's natural ability to heal, that's what trauma is for the context of this conversation. Okay. So the previous things that we've gone through, let me start in a different place. As men, we are conditioned to be emotionally unavailable in our society. Right? As little boys, we were taught to ignore our emotions. We're taught that emotions are bad, that they make us weak. The only emotion that a boy can feel that's validated is anger. We can be mad, we can fight, but we can't be scared. We can't feel sad or any of those other things. And so once we become adults, we don't automatically have those emotional regulation skills that we missed out on developing as kids. And so when we think of all healthy relationships, the number one quality that makes us feel connected is our ability to emotionally connect, which is why emotional availability is so important, right?
Yeah.
So if I don't have the skills to be emotionally present, but I want a healthy, happy relationship, which requires emotional presence, there's a disconnect there, and the emotional math ain't mathing. And so when we talk about traumatic experiences from the past, if I'm not allowing myself to feel my feelings because I'm afraid of those feelings, right, then it also is keeping me from being able to feel, to engage, to go as deep as I want to go with a partner. So it's not always that trauma keeps us from being able to have a relationship at all, but the type and the degree of that trauma can keep us from going as deep as we want in that relationship.
Wow.
Yeah. One of the things you talked about in one of your Instagram posts that really struck me before you got into match, M period, A period, T period, C period, H, is that attraction and how much, and especially as gay men, how much emphasis we put on attraction and looking a certain way and who we attract and are they. And you say that while attraction is important, you just have to have some attraction. But I feel that many gay men, we put with the apps and everything else, and we're having a hot boy summer, we put a lot of emphasis on attraction and maybe too much emphasis. Can you just explain a little bit more about why you just have to have some attraction? Because we all know we get older and attraction changes, and hopefully many of us are looking for long-term relationships, and we know we're all going to change, and the emphasis that gay men put on that.
So, friends,
can we get real here?
I'll take this to a place that most people are more familiar with, which is work, right? If you have a goal professionally, you understand the point of what are the essential steps to get to that goal, and why do I need to waste time or waste resources on anything that isn't getting me to the goal, right? We have the clear understanding of ROI from that sense. The problem with dating is people are confusing outcomes. And what I mean by that is you say you want a healthy, happy relationship, but all the qualities on your list are physical qualities that have no impact on the success or longevity of a relationship. Another way to say this is attraction has nothing to do with whether or not a relationship works, which is why so many, and attractiveness either, which is why so many cute people are still single.
Ooh. Just read me, okay?
I mean, sometimes books are open, but yeah, like attraction tells us if we're interested, which is why I say, yes, we need to be attracted, but the level of intensity of that attraction also tells us a lot about whether or not something is right for us. So think about it this way, all right? When we say we want a lot of chemistry or a lot of passion in a relationship, and then we find someone and the chemistry is crazy from the get-go, neither one of us knew why, very Mary J. Blige, and then it fizzles out, and we're like, why didn't that work? It was so hot and heavy. Here's why. If
Talk
the
to me.
level of chemistry you expect or experience is higher than the level of energy you're able to sustain by yourself, that's how you know it's an unrealistic expectation. So, in other words, instead of looking for a romantic fire to sustain you, look for a fire you can sustain.
I love that.
I
Yeah.
have to think about that one a little bit. I need to wrap my head around that because I just have started dating somebody, honestly, and it is intense. So I'm glad you used that terminology, and so my question to you is like, how fast is too fast? How do I keep the fire burning? Because I'm scared that like it's going to fizzle out because it is very intense in the beginning. And yeah, just talk to me about that.
I love the question. How fast?
And it's like our host has it too.
It's me.
So here's the thing. When we get that advice to take things slow, the words, we don't actually mean that. The point of compatibility is sustainability, right?
Mhm.
We're not saying take it slow, because if we move too fast and things fall apart, it wasn't sustainable. But if we move too slow and things fall apart, it also wasn't sustainable. So the point is not to move slowly, it's to move sustainably, which still
Okay.
goes back to you, right? What you really need in a partner is a function of who you really are. Okay. And so from that sense, you can meet somebody and let me add another piece. Okay. We know couples who met and they got married in 30 days and they've been
Yeah.
married 50 plus years. And it's like, y'all clearly are each other's person. We know other people that have been off and on for 5 and 10 years and still don't know if they go together. Time is not what determines sustainability. Okay. Clarity is what determines that. If you know what you want, know what you need, and that clarity is realistic, and you meet someone else who is clear, that clarity is going to look like speed to everybody else.
Wow. That really hit home for me. And for me, it's also about like communicating what you need out of the relate and having a clear vision of it, but also being able to relay it to that other person.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because
Thank you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. When we're in relationships, so we talked about how skills are what determine whether or not someone is single, right? And when we parse that out, like what are the most important skills to develop? When we're in a relationship, the primary reason they fail isn't infidelity or money. It's the frustration we experience because of our unmet, unrealistic expectations. And so the number one dating skill we need to develop is the ability to define, communicate, and negotiate realistic expectations. You're going to move a lot faster if your expectations are clear and realistic.
Yes.
Which brings us to like, we talk a lot about, and you work with a lot of people finding that love, but let's move into like sustainability. And when you are in, I'm a year married, over a year married, and very happy looking at my husband over there on the couch. But one of your quotes that you posted that really resonated with me said, all relationships grow through a series of ruptures and repairs. Healthy relationships don't necessarily have fewer ruptures. They just repair more efficiently than non-healthy ones. And I think that's kind of what you're talking about when you're saying ruptures are going to happen, right? I think you're bringing the science of bringing two people together, and then you factor in gay men and bringing them together, and then you talk about past traumas. And if someone were to pitch me the idea, I would say, forget it, it's not going to work. But everybody has those ruptures. It's how you deal with them. Can you elaborate more on what you were talking about in that quote?
Yeah. So basically, life is going to happen to all of us. Life is already happening to all of us, right? And people are going to people wherever there are people, right? Like none of us can escape the reality of being human. But what determines our satisfaction, what determines whether or not we go the distance, whatever that distance looks like, is the skill that we have to navigate those distances, right? The skill that we have to navigate our differences, because we're also different people. And so when we look at compatibility and those factors of compatibility, we're looking at the terrain to expect in a relationship. But the terrain does not tell us whether or not we can navigate it. That's what our skills tell us, right? So we need both of those things. Because again, every relationship, you're going to have conflict. You're going to have different disagreements. You're going to have family issues that have nothing to do with the two of you specifically, but are now involving you, right? They're health things, right? Everybody is going to be disabled at some point. It's the one change that is guaranteed for all of us if we grow old enough, right? So those things are going to have to be navigated, and healthy relationships have those things too. But the things they do differently are navigate them with grace, with emotional generosity, with emotional stability, with peace, with seeing their partner not as their adversary, but as a partner in figuring out whatever the conflict is, right? And so if we don't have the skill to navigate conflict, one, we either see conflict as something we need to run from. So whenever something comes up, we're out of a relationship again because we don't know how to deal with the things that do come up, right? Or maybe we always make it the other person's fault and we never take personal responsibility or accountability. And in either of those cases, we're not good partners, right? Because partnership requires us to navigate those things that are going to be reasonably coming up for all of us.
Wow. It's grown ass men dealing with our we have to really constantly be, and it changes throughout the relationship, and real stuff. But if you want that, that's what it takes.
Yeah. Do you want a real relationship, or do you just want people to see you wanting a real relationship?
Good questions to ask yourself. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. I have one more question. I've noticed like a lot of the clients are people of color, Black people. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask about like the challenges that we go through as people of color, as Black people. What is your advice for navigating like fetishization and maybe not being the quote unquote ideal as far as the gay community is concerned?
Ooh.
I love it when you do that, by the way. Because I'm like, it's very satisfying to me.
Yeah, and it always makes me want to make sure I say it concisely, because we can have a whole conversation just about this.
We definitely have to have you back. So let's just put that out there.
Whenever you guys like. So let's start with, what if you're not the ideal? Okay? And I'll use a very popular example. You ever seen that show, 600 Pound Life?
No, but I can imagine.
Nobody on my 600 Pound Life is single, because your weight is not the thing that's keeping you single. Your income is not the thing that's keeping you single. Your face is not keeping you single, right? Your level of beauty is not keeping you single. Again, attractiveness does not predict relationship success or longevity at all. We know many people who are not the standard definition of attractive and are married with kids. Yeah. And we know many people who are, that don't have that, right? Like that is not the thing. So if you are not the standard definition of whatever seems like is beautiful from a cultural perspective, great news, that's not required.
Love it.
There it is.
That's the first piece. The other thing is related, very closely related, and I really want people to hear this part. That list that we have that has those qualities, we want somebody who's tall, and I'll just go with like general qualities, right? You want someone 6 foot tall or taller. That's 15% of men, by the way, only. You want someone who makes 6 figures. That's 20% of men. So if you want them 6 foot tall or taller and 6 figures, we're looking at 3% of men. You also want 6 inches or more, which is also like 20% of men. So now we're at 0.6% of people with just those 3 physical qualities. And none of those things that we named are any of the things that predict satisfaction or longevity or success for a relationship. However, when we look at, for example, high earners, not most people, narcissists are overrepresented among high earners, right? And also the thing that is true, the more narcissism we have, the more we're focused on our own physical traits. So my body has to look right. My face got to look right. The money got to look right. We're really focused on everything outside. We're not as focused on what is happening inside. And so when people wonder, why do I keep attracting people who are narcissists? It's because your list is literally describing a person who's a narcissist rather than a person who is going to be an equal partner, who is emotionally validating, emotionally safe, who has your back, who considers you just as much as they consider themselves, right? And so we have to ask ourselves, how much does what I'm experiencing match what I believe about love and relationships? Because for most of us, the math is mathing. Like what I believe and what I experience, it matches. And if we see that other people do have healthy, happy relationships, we also have to ask ourselves, okay, maybe the question is not, am I good enough? The question is, what is it that they are doing that I can learn how to do too? Because we tend to not look at our obstacles as opportunities. And that is really the frame that we have to look through if we want to have more success in our dating lives.
Wow.
Love it. Oh my gosh. Amari, we could talk to you all night, but we have to let you go. We should mention you are the author of a book I want to get. It's called Lasting Love at Last. The Gay Guide to Relationships. You can get it on Amazon, and it sounds like something. It sounds like it's good if you're looking for love, but also if you're within a relationship too.
Yep.
I'm
and you can find it at all major bookstores. Yeah.
Great. Yes. And how can people follow you so that, because I know you do counseling, you do all kinds of stuff. Let us know how to follow you.
Yeah. So first things first, we were talking about the dating skills earlier. If you're interested in learning more about your dating skill level, you can go to datingskillquiz.com, and then you can follow me anywhere, Instagram, Threads, YouTube at Prince Amari.
Prince Amari, absolutely, yeah. And I did one of your quizzes, and I loved what it. I'm going to have my husband do it as well. And so, Amari, thank you so much. So enlightening. We would love to have you back on because we feel like we scratched the surface because we know so many of our community want to find love, are looking for love, but there's roadblocks, and we should give ourselves grace. But you're giving us some of these, tunnels to finally find who we really are, to find that love that we want. So thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Very much.
Absolutely. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
This week on my Substack, The Naked Truth Steve, I'm going deeper into the conversation we're having this week about gay sex spaces. My new free post, Are Gay Sex Spaces More Healing Than We Admit?, really looks at why places like dark rooms, sex clubs, BDSM spaces, and naked beaches can offer more than sex. They can also create freedom, confidence, community, and a place where gay men don't have to edit themselves. Then on Friday, paid subscribers will get the much more personal follow-up, what I was really looking for in the darkroom, because the sex was only part of it. I'll be sharing what I was really searching for in those spaces: permission, validation, connection, escape, and a better understanding of myself. You could read and subscribe to The Naked Truth Steve through the link in today's show notes, or go to substack.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy. Just drop in some details about yourself and see if you're eligible to save money when you bundle your home and auto policies. The process only takes minutes, and it could mean hundreds more in your pocket. Visit Progressive.com after this episode to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
/at The Naked Truth Steve. At The Naked Truth Steve.
Yes. Oh my goodness. So good, Cody.
Great. That was a great talk.
Yes, we got so much out of it. And let's continue the conversation over on our Patreon community. You can go to patreon.com/tags podcast. And with that, it's time to get into a couple of hot topics. And there are a few of them. And we wanted to really talk about a show you went to just the other day, the Jellicle Cats, correct? Cody?
That's the Jellicle Ball. Yeah.
Jellicle Ball. First off, what did you think of the show?
I love the show. The dancing was amazing. The singing was phenomenal. So Cats is a weird show, right? The music is a little strange. There's cats singing all over the place, but this merges ballroom with still that sensibility. And it's just a big party. I think my hands started hurting the first 10 minutes of the show because I was clapping so much and it was just so joyful. It was just a big party. So I highly recommend it. There's some very heartfelt moments in it about aging as a gay person, and it's just so fabulous. So go see it. They have celebrity judges that are there, and yeah, it's a good time.
Yeah, I think it goes through August, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a point because it's ballroom culture, and if you've watched Pose, there's the judging process. Wilson Cruz was recently one of those judges. Wilson is no stranger to Broadway, but he went on stage recently to be one of those judges at the show, which I thought was really cool. Who was your judge that was on?
It was Retta, who is from, she does the Treat Yourself from Parks and Rec. Who they made reference to that in the show. And it was just he was fine. This guy that was up there, I forget his name, but I should look him up because he's a beautiful man. So yeah, shout out to them.
Well, speaking of Wilson, who was a judge on a recent show, and I love that too. If you've watched Pose, you know what we're talking about. If you went to Madonna's Celebration Tour, she did the same thing on a larger scale. It was super fun. She had different guests, every one. Wilson was one of them. We love Wilson Cruz, but he recently said something that really resonated with me. He said he revealed the private activity he enjoys when he's home alone. Quote unquote, I deserve it. What is that private activity, you ask? He said, sometimes even though I know I'm going to be home alone for the rest of the night, I'll take a shower and just spray myself with my favorite scent because it makes me happy and deserve it. In which one commenter wrote, Retta, I believe, treat yourself. And I I loved it. And I think we all need those moments, whether, you know, even I used to do it by myself. Diego and I now treat ourselves, and treating yourself can just mean something, putting on some nice music, lowering the candles, making a nice meal. What did you think of what Wilson said when he said, you know, private moment to myself?
Oh, yeah, you have to do it for yourself. If you're not going to treat yourself well, who is? So go ahead and make sure that you do the things that make you feel special and beautiful. So kudos to Wilson Cruz.
Love it. And a movie that you, Diego, and I watched because we were celebrating Pride, this Pride month, and we came up with kind of a top 10 list of films that we wanted to watch for Pride. Didn't have to be new. They could be all over the place. Pilion was a new one that we put in the mix. I think we got through 6 out of the 10 that we put on our list. But
that's great.
Yeah, not bad. One of the films that we watched with you was Wong Foo, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, that came out in 1995. And oh my God, I had never watched it. And it was hilarious.
I can't imagine.
Oh my God. We were laughing. So you had watched it already. Diego and I hadn't watched it. So good. I related to Patrick Swayze's character. She's kind of wound up tight, but wants to run the program. And she was definitely something I related to. But recently, John Leguizamo was talking about the film. And the reason he was talking about it was that he said it didn't really get the respect it deserved at the time. Take yourself back or think about 1995. There was only room for one drag queen movie. What movie was that? Well, you're about to hear it. Quote unquote, he says, I love Wong Foo. Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar. I mean, it was such a brave movie. The Adventures of Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, stole our thunder because it came out just before, because we had to wait for Wesley. We were trying to beat them because there was only room back then for one drag queen movie per year. So we didn't get the accolades that we deserved, I feel, because I think Patrick Swayze did an amazing job and Wesley Snipes and I crushed it too, and we took it seriously. We really wanted to give these characters integrity, and we had drag queen coaches. And he goes on to list who those drag queen coaches were. LGBTQ plus teenagers came up to me a lot after the movie came out and said that movie gave them the courage to come out to their family. That's what you hope your work does, that gives people a sense that they're seen, they're important, that their lives matter. That's what you hope that you do with your work. And I just love John Leguizamo, and I think he's probably 100% accurate that back in that day, although I think it's become a cult classic.
Oh, definitely.
Now.
Yeah.
But but what do you say to what he's saying and how at that time there was only room for one drag queen movie?
I believe it. I can totally see that. And you know what, on the rewatch, I really saw how seriously they took this because
So
John
seriously, yeah.
yeah, they all embody what a drag queen and what a gay person they evoke. So I think it's an amazing movie. I kind of feel like, and this is just like my personal opinion and perspective on this, that Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, was a little bit more serious. I feel like Wong Foo was a little bit more kitschy, and maybe that's why they didn't get a lot of the accolades. But that's neither here nor there. I still believe him 100% that in that day and time there was only room for one drag queen movie because it was 1995.
We didn't have Drag Race,
we didn't have all this exposure. So I totally get it, and yeah. I'm glad I watched it as a kid because it helped develop me as a young gay person.
Yeah, we talk a little bit about how heterosexual actors playing gay roles, but back then, I really agree with you. These actors who are all heterosexual, and rest in peace, Patrick Swayze, really committed to these roles 150% and gave it their all. And me watching it in 2026, a movie that was made so many years ago with these heterosexual actors, it was, I was in this movie so much. It was so funny, but heartfelt in a small town. I just loved it so much. And it makes me think that, because the other film, what was the other film that was compared to that came out at the same
Priscilla,
time?
Queen of the Desert.
Yeah, went on to not only do well, also, I don't think it was necessarily a gay cast all around, but went on to, I saw it in London. I saw it on Broadway, and it had a really long run. But I think this remains a cult classic, and it's kind of cool. But I love,
sure.
It's worthy of note to hear John Leguizamo reflect on that period and what it meant to him. So yeah, absolutely. Okay, so we talk a lot about apps and grinders. Goose and Sniffies are all in the forefront right now. Why are we talking about them? Ever since Grindr started incorporating AI into its platform, they've been highlighting that there's been a lot of fakery and fake profiles. And a lot of people are questioning, are people putting these fake profiles, AI profiles, to get you to then go to pay for past the paywalls, right? Grindr has been plagued with flakes and fakes. The grid was always based on proximity, but now the system may be juiced. On one X user surmised that Grindr uses the top tapped profiles in specific areas to popularize its extra feed. Somebody else pointed out that he's attracted to literally every profile that's paywalled. Is it a coincidence or not? Regardless, as we've mentioned on this show, people are not stopping Grindr at all. In other words, they went public and people are using it. So a couple more things with the other one, Goose, which we talked about was using AI. Remember, we talked about that, have been in a little bit of controversy, right, Cody? And they've had to actually claim that because if you signed up for Goose, it basically said that they can use your photos, conversations, and likeness in any way they want. And that didn't sit well with a lot of the new users as they continued to be embroiled in controversy as they just launched earlier this year. Well, now they have come and said, no, we will only use it within the framework of this app and not like we won't use it against you. And then lastly, the last Sniffies, explain the thing that Sniffies, because I didn't really understand it in our meeting earlier, what Sniffies used to have, but now they got rid of.
So before in Sniffies, on a location, like say that the Eagle was a location, it is a location on Sniffies. When you go and click on that location as a place, there would be comments, current comments from a week ago, from a month ago, from 5 minutes ago, saying, A lot of people would use it for how busy the venue was at the moment. Some people would just say, "I'm here. I'm in a various position.
I kind of like that.
I'm on the second floor." There's all these things that they
It's
said
like real time reporting.
Exactly.
And you know,
That's
with
exactly
real
what
time
it was.
reported. Why do you think they got rid of it? Was it getting people in trouble? Was it putting them potentially, like we're now telling that the Target store on 23rd Street are we putting too much out there that could potentially put sniffies at risk of a lawsuit or some sort of, do you think, or what? Why get rid of it?
Because I think in the article it said that partially it was because of them being taken over by a more conservative company, and that they kind of wanted to wash away a lot of the things that were going on sniffies and making it a little bit more sanitized. But I can totally see that. I think that maybe a lot people being more forthcoming with their location in real time could lead to a lawsuit, and they could say, "I got hurt because I was on sniffies," even though they did it of their own volition.
Yeah.
We need a lawyer on here.
I mean, we're building the show, but we're not quite.
I think I know one.
Yeah, we do know one. Absolutely. I think we have time for one more hot topic, and I would love to do on this one. Well, we talk a lot about love, and we were just talking to Amari Ice, and there was a recent couple. You've heard of this before, Love at First Sight, where I believe it's based in Europe, in London, this was New York, when this older couple first met on a tennis court. The Instagram account, which we talked about, at Meet Cute NYC. Have you seen this, Cody?
Yes, I love Meet Cute. I saw this actually before you sent me the story. I love this story.
Oh, it's adorable. At Meet Cute NYC recently shared an interview with two New Yorkers named Alan and Tony, who have been together since 1973. It amassed nearly 1 million likes, and it doesn't take long to see why. I will post this on our Tags Patreon community because you need to see it for yourself. But when Alan and Tony, basically, when Alan first laid eyes on Tony in that sporty setting, he says one word jumped to mind: hot. That was Alan, the younger one. Tony, the older one, however, had a different read. He said, "What was my viewpoint when I saw him? Not good," he answered. "I thought I was wasting my time." You know what? Honest. I love it. 53 years later, yep, you heard me, Tony joked that he's still deciding. the shorter, older one said he's still deciding, but he was
It's
joking.
always a negotiation, honey.
Okay, it sounds like Diego and I, 53 years from now. He said it's clear that one of the keys to longevity is the ability to laugh, and I love that. Still not made up his mind, replied of their. They hold hands. And with 3.3 million followers, Meet Cutes NYC really shows these viral couples that how they've been together. And I think it gives us hope, especially when we're talking to Amari Ice on finding that love. These are actual couples that are doing it. And they asked the question, what's the key to staying together, right? He says the key to sustaining a long relationship: care more about the other person than you care about yourself. Said one. When you get up to get a soda, you have to ask the other person, "Would you like a soda?" without even thinking. Indeed, that I think is caring for the other person, and I think Amari would love that sentiment. But what did you think of when you saw these two? And I know you watched the video of these two lovebirds 53 years later.
That's a long time, and I think they're so adorable. I will say that, like, maybe love yourself as much as you love the other person, because maybe love equally, because I do understand that, like, when you get up to get something, or if you get something for yourself and your partner is there, then you go grab something for them. You make sure that they're okay. You check in with them. And I think that's wonderful. Also, the humor that's between this couple, I think it is stellar. And in a time where, like, we have lost so many elders, gays, from, the AIDS virus and things of that nature, I think that having these elders there to put their wisdom, express their wisdom to us, I think it's just a wonderful gift. So thank you, Meet Cute.
Yeah, it reminds me because when Diego and I were starting to get together and all that, he would do this thing with like a walker movement, like we're together till the end of time, like even when we're in our walkers. And although I hope we're not on walkers.
I was going to say,
I'd rather be in a walker alive than the alternative. And
That's
that
true.
always resonated with me. And I do agree with that simplicity of what they said, that of course you're going to support each other. But, me being married now over a year, with Diego, I now think of everything. One perfect quick example is I said, oh, I'm going to go, like, we now see the same barber, right? And which is great. Ellie, shout out to Ellie on 23rd Street in New York. And he is so funny. And I said, I'm going to see Ellie. And he's like, oh, can you ask him if he's free tomorrow morning? I can only do 10 or 11. And of course, so the minute I got there, I'm sitting in the chair and I said, oh, before we start, because Ellie and I can get into politics and we're so opposites, but we have great conversations. I said, can you see Diego tomorrow morning at either 11 or 10 is what his words were. And he said, I could do 10:40. I said, okay, great. So of course, Diego had to talk about the humor thing. He's like, what? I said, not 10:40. I can do 10 or 11. And I was almost in my mind like, what? But he's always joking with me and keeping it light and fun. And I was like, oh, shut up. And so 10, yes. And so
Got it.
Humor is a big part of our marriage, and teasing and all of that is big. So shout out to that couple. I hope that we are, someday like them, because they are an inspiration. So I love that. Oh my gosh. We love giving advice on the show, and today is no different. You can always ask us for sex or relationship advice, but today this one came from Reddit, and Cody picked this one because it just resonated with both of us in our meeting. When asked the question, feeling guilty about my newfound daddy phase, I just turned 40. I'm a decent looking guy who's never had trouble dating or hooking up, but I was never like a big object of lust, if that makes sense. I'm also someone who, for the most part, likes to date and hook up with guys in a comparable age range. Everyone I've dated seriously has been within 5 years up or down from me, and my general rule has always been it's cool to play with younger guys under, say, 30 if they contact me, but I'm not usually reaching out to them, partially out of preference, like for dating. I want a guy in the same life stage, and partially because I don't want to be that creepy gay, only going after young guys because I judge that guy, his words. Anyway, this year was the big 4-0, which also coincided with me probably being in the best shape I've ever been in, and I truly never gotten more sexual attention, particularly from the early 20 guys who are in their daddy phase. I give a firm no to anyone under 21. Maybe I need to get over it, but it feels creepy. But I'm feeling a bunch of hot 23-year-olds right now who want to willingly fuck me, but I can't help but feel kind of weird, or kind of like it's a cliche. Like last night I was on Grindr only chatting with these young guys. I actively don't want to date anyone that age. Instead, I started to think, why aren't I talking to guys my age? Why am I suddenly flirting with, say, a 22-year-old who feels like a young 22? Am I being overdramatic? I would say yes. Overthinking things? Yes. Getting caught up in trying to seem like a better guy than I am? Does this even warrant a post? It does. Those are my answers. What are yours? That was a long post, and I answered most of them, 90% of them.
You did great,
Jesus.
darling. So for me, I get hit on by a lot of 20-year-olds. Like, all the time. Anybody over under 21, I just block because I'm not trying to do the whole background check and all that kind of stuff. I just want to, I want to avoid any of that type of danger or anything like that. So,
or jail time.
Girl, but 22 and above, they're free reign. And if because my nephew is 21, and that should tell you that something like I don't want to have sex with anyone that is in that age range. So if they look of that age group, but if they don't, then I can see myself having sex with them. And this guy doesn't want to take advantage of these younger guys, but a lot of these younger guys I have found have some experience underneath their belts. So it's really a case by case situation here where they have to look and look to be of a certain age. They have to have had some experience. I don't want to deflower a 20-year-old. That means they're just going to fall in love with me and be following me around like a little puppy. I'm not trying to do that. I've been through it before, and I'm not going through it again. And so they have to check a lot of boxes if we're going to hook up. So yeah,
this guy was talking about hooking up or relationship.
I think he's talking about hooking up. I think he wants to have a relationship with someone his own age, and he just wants to.
Yeah, and I think that's fair enough. I think, what I will say is people put too much emphasis on age, and as if we've learned anything on 9 years of this podcast, that gay men age and mature at a different cycle. People in general mature at a different cycle. So I will never give anybody shit for being in really long range age brackets because I just think, no, who am I to say who should love, as long as it's legal and all of that
and consenting,
and consenting. So no, but for me personally, at a certain point in my time when I was dating, maybe certain people of a certain age maybe were too young emotionally, but we know plenty of young people that are really emotionally intelligent, and I could see, if I was single, that personality type I could spend time with. So, and sex is sex, but I hear you. I was saying, just have, as long as they're legal, but there is that possibility if they're too young, 21, that they could. Yeah. So, but then where's the cutoff? So I think it's, you got a lot to weigh in on all that, but I hope that helps. Oh my gosh. We want to thank our very special guest, Amari Ice. And we in show notes will list everywhere you can follow him, and as well as Cody. So much fun. What a jam-packed show.
Yes.
You can follow Cody on the gram and Blue Sky at Mr. Maurice. Mr. Maurice. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. And in the meantime, continue having hot gay sex. Lovely.
If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.